Breaking news. The governor of Washington has declared war on the American people. Governor Inslee, pronounced enslave, has mandated testing at the hands of the National Guard, mandated vaccines as soon as they come online. They're going to be sending the goon squads. We've got footage of that beginning to happen, ladies and gentlemen. The National Guard will be going door to door, terrorizing American citizens. These National Guard must stand down and not follow unlawful orders from tyrants. Now, there's a reason why they're rolling this out in the state of Washington. That is Bill Gates' home state. And so people right now are preparing their Boogaloo cruise for July 4th. What's the Boogaloo? What's July 4th? It's Independence Day, ladies and gentlemen. They've tried to place you under house arrest. They've tried to suspend the Constitution. They've tried to imprison you and cancel the 4th of July. You've got to uncancel Independence Day, ladies and gentlemen. You have to overthrow these tyrants that are not duly elected. There's nothing honest about the elections in this country, ladies and gentlemen. It's just this little group of people that you get to vote for. It's just their little club, and nobody else is in it. These are not free and fair elections. These people are not duly elected, and their decrees are unlawful. And what we're finding out right now is that they let this virus in on purpose. They knew about this back in November, ladies and gentlemen. And they were warning each other. They were selling their stocks, but they were telling you to basically breathe it in. They were telling you to wash your hands. There's nothing to worry about. We know that this virus rolled into America in December and January. Everyone was infected, for the most part, by the time Trump decided to cancel flights from China. And by the time they started locking everything down, the first wave had pretty much come and gone. Now they're imprisoning you because it's part of their script. It's part of their plan. This is another 9/11, ladies and gentlemen. And there is a solution for that. What is the video guy doing? It is time for a revolution, ladies and gentlemen. The country has been a powder keg for years. And now it's time to ignite that powder keg. It's time to get your country back before it's too late. You don't want to see what the second wave is going to look like. You don't want to see what their forced vaccination is going to look like. But we know that they released this bioweapon from a laboratory and that they exposed the entire world's population to their bioweapon in flagrant violation of Geneva Conventions and many other treaties regarding the use of bioweapons. This is a war crime. What they've done, ladies and gentlemen, they've committed a war crime against the American people by infecting you. And this is just the beginning. They are, how shall we say it? They are qualified. They have qualified for execution, for a speedy trial, and for a public execution. That's what needs to be done, ladies and gentlemen, if we are going to survive. Because all of these people at the top are in it together like a bunch of Charlie Manson groupies. Whether it be in America and other NATO countries, we've seen the exact same thing play out. They let this virus in. They make sure to misinform the public about the dangers. They make sure that they don't have the necessary equipment to protect themselves. They make sure that everyone is exposed to this virus, ladies and gentlemen. And that's the crime. Of course, where do you think they're going to take you? All of these liberal CEOs of these big tech companies. They're going to roll out their RoboCops. They're going to roll out their brain chips. They're going to jack you into the matrix. They're going to isolate you even more and pump you full of their vaccine. Pump you with their mark of the beast. And we know who the guilty parties are. We know that the FBI will not arrest the guilty. We know that the Department of Justice will not prosecute the guilty. We know that the entire system is corrupt. The politicians, the media, law enforcement. It's a full-blown occupation. And the only way this is going to get better, the only way things are going to change, is if we take destiny into our own hands, ladies and gentlemen. You have a choice. You can be the slave. You can go to the gulag. You can go to the FEMA camps. You can let them suspend your rights and abuse you. You can let them continue on with what they're doing. Because obviously you haven't seen enough. You haven't seen enough since 9/11. You haven't seen enough with all of the other Gladio B events. What is the video guy doing? Obviously on vacation. Oh, we're getting interference from the Matrix, ladies and gentlemen. We're hacking the screw tube right now. And the video guy's on vacation. But right now, the governor of Washington, sitting in Spokane on the eastern side of the state, a heavily Republican side of the state, is a revolution waiting to happen. If the revolution happens anywhere, if it begins anywhere, it's going to begin in the state of Washington, because their governor is off the hook, worse than the other ones. And already announcing door-to-door wellness checks. The National Guard will be coming by with mandatory vaccines. And they're going to be separating people, just like what we saw in China. We're going to be seeing the goon squads, and people have had enough. They're ready for the revolution, ladies and gentlemen. But some people think Trump is going to save you. Trump is not going to save you. He didn't arrest Hillary. He rolled out the death towers. And as a warm-up, he genocided the Kurds. Now he's coming for you. All of these people are guilty of war crimes. They're guilty of letting this virus come into our country.
You're the blue shirt with the shorts. Keep your hands up.
Where is it?
You with the hat, green shirt. Put your hands up. I can't see them. Media guy, get back. Media guy in a white shirt, get back.
So why is the press at this event? This is a peaceful protest, and they send the SWAT, guns drawn, to arrest everyone and liquidate everyone. This is what's coming to a neighborhood near you, ladies and gentlemen. You don't have a choice. If you sit by and do nothing, you will be liquidated. They'll inject you with the mark of the beast. This isn't a joke. This is not a drill. They've announced it on public television. Everybody knows this. Everybody's talking about this. If you're not aware, you better get aware, because this is coming to a state near you. This is the plan. It's been the plan since the beginning. House arrest, mandated testing, and everybody's infected, so they're going to come liquidate people little by little, and they're going to say, you're infected with this airborne AIDS that they released, and we know that they released it. We've got all of the evidence. You got the money trail right back to Fauci, linking Fauci to the Wuhan lab and the gain-of-function research to this virus. You've got the stand-down orders that let this virus in, just like another 9/11, ladies and gentlemen. So as a reminder, get your Boogaloo crew ready. This is what the Boogaloo crew looks like. If you don't look like this, you better start shopping. And you better start training. July 4th is coming around. And, we have to prevent these terrorists from passing more emergency laws, because every day they're passing something new. And right now we're seeing them stockpile all sorts of gear for the uprising. So we're starting to hear reports of that. Massive amounts of money being spent on, new gear for the Gestapo. And, the police out there, really need to side with the people, because you're being exposed to this virus as well. You're going to
We're in a live exercise here to get this right. We're in a live exercise here to get this right.
Live exercise. All right, this is just some of what we've accumulated, some of the evidence that we've accumulated. But they are going to go door to door and liquidate and exterminate everyone. That's the plan. You don't have a choice. They're coming to kill you. And it's just like the movie The Matrix, when Neo receives the phone.
Did the Pentagon receive an intelligence assessment on COVID in China last November from the National Center for Medical Intelligence of DIA?
Oh, I can't recall.
Okay, so what we know is that last November, there was a raging outbreak in Wuhan. And they were informing all of their NATO allies about the outbreak. And since November, this thing was allowed to invade every other country in the planet and infect everyone there. And they knew it was happening. And instead of warning the public, they were selling their stocks. They were preparing, on their end to survive, while letting you basically get exposed and infected from this virus, ladies and gentlemen. So we know that November, January, February, everyone was getting infected by this virus, and it looked like it escaped the lab day one. Everybody was wearing spacesuits. They were burying people alive in their apartment buildings. We saw mass graves. We saw the crematoriums on full blast. Ladies and gentlemen.
Thing that gives you high confidence that it originated in that Wuhan lab?
Martha, there's enormous evidence that that's where this began. We've said from the beginning that this was a virus that originated in Wuhan, China. We took a lot of grief for that.
It came out of the lab. I mean, you could tell that day one it came out of the lab, and they didn't warn people. That's a crime, ladies and gentlemen. Dereliction of duty, to say the least, but they wanted people to get infected. And that's what we're starting to understand, is that they let this virus in like another 9/11 to make sure everyone would get infected, so that they would need the vaccine and they would need the mark of the beast, and they could, roll out their cashless society. Think how many years people have been talking about the beast system, mark of the beast, cashless society, and here it is with their virus that they've released from a lab. Now, again, the fact that they released a bioweapon from a laboratory to kill people, that's a war crime. What does that mean? That means execution. That means that all of these people need to be brought to justice. Now, you can't depend on the FBI. Unfortunately, you cannot depend on these bureaucracies that claim to be, departments of justice and the like. They will not prosecute this case because they are responsible. Just like the CDC, they sent out tests that were contaminated with this virus. They infected everyone. The CDC is there supposedly to protect you. Instead, they're there to infect you. And it's just like the Department of Justice. They're supposed to prosecute the criminals. Instead, they are the criminals. Everybody knows this. So if you think that you're going to just be able to wait this out and it's going to get better all by itself, you better think again. The snitches are coming, ladies and gentlemen. But this is not going to go away by itself. And every day that goes by that we don't occupy these Capitol buildings permanently, these legislatures and the like, these parliaments, depending on the country that you're in, every day that goes by that we don't stop them from passing new laws is another day that freedom just slips through our fingers. And maybe it takes being a slave to understand what freedom is, ladies and gentlemen. But you better understand real quick before you end up a slave, or worse. They're out to kill you. And if you're in a country where they got, gun laws, you better go raid the arms depot. You better get everybody involved. You better start talking to people that you know. You better start waking them up. But these are war crimes. And war crimes demand justice, instant justice. We can't let these people continue. We can't wait 20 years to figure this stuff out on the History Channel. We're living history right now. And what we do is going to change the course of history forever. Either by letting them exterminate everyone or by revolting against this system that has enslaved you and that is trying to kill you. And you've known this for years. And we're so divided as a country thanks to the television. We're divided amongst different communities when we should all be united against this tyranny that's looking to genocide you. They are trying to genocide you, ladies and gentlemen. You must genocide them. That is the only thing to do here. They have committed war crimes, and they need to be brought to justice. And all of these people at the top are involved. All of these people that you love, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, all of these people are involved. They've been planning this for years. And for years, they've been letting you fight amongst each other over trivial things as they've been preparing for this event. Event 201, Agenda 21, Dark Winter, etc., etc. The evidence is piling up. The money trail is piling up. And you know they've got the motive. Ladies and gentlemen, they're on video saying, oh yeah, there's too many people, we got to take them out. They've been at this for years trying to liquidate people. You know who they are. Make no mistakes, these people are out to get you. And you know what's happening now is part of a plan. It's only going to get worse. You have no choice in the matter. You're either going to be exterminated or you are going to exterminate them. This is a matter of survival. And they've been trying to kill people for way too long. They've been, basically playing with our rights, playing with our emotions for far too long, since 9/11 and the like. They've been, invading our privacy, setting up their police state, and just doing everything that is, contrary to America, American ideals, and the like.
And when it got down to the plane is 10 miles out, the young man also said to the vice president, do the orders still stand? And
of course, the orders still stand. We've been dealing with this since 9/11, and 20 years later, now we've got part 2. They've been planning this since 9/11, pretty much, like another 9/11. And, this is the next part of their phase this is the next part of their plan in terms of rolling out transhumanism, cashless society, and, essentially the beast system. And it's only going to get worse, ladies and gentlemen. And so, people can't afford to sit idly by and watch this happen. You've seen enough. You've seen enough, right? Everyone has seen enough. They've had their fill. They're done with this New World Order. They're done with these Democrats and these Republicans. You think the Republicans are on your side? They're going to Bohemian Grove. They're as guilty as, the Democrats when it comes to grooming and molesting children. We've seen numerous, Republicans go down for that. Former Speaker of the House, etc., etc. They're right now announcing on television that they are going to continue the house arrest. They're going to send the goon squads to your doors, mandate their tests that don't work due to a virus that they let in, and they're slow killing you right now with this virus. And reports are that this is a perpetual, forever virus, airborne AIDS, and they're going to continue to terrorize you with this virus until there's an uprising. And there needs to be an uprising. People have been fed up with this system for years. And what you don't realize is you outnumber them. But you have to pick a date, and everybody has to show up. And what better date than the 4th of July? They tried to suspend your Independence Day, ladies and gentlemen. And in some states, they have suspended Independence Day. In California, in the state of Washington, people aren't going to be able to go out. They've suspended your Constitution. They've suspended your rights. They've infected you with their bioweapon. They're trying to kill everyone. This is an attempt of mass genocide. You have no choice here, ladies and gentlemen. They're trying to genocide you. This is a war crime. You need to prepare for the Boogaloo, July 4th. And you need to continue to occupy these buildings until we can flush out the system. They didn't want to drain the swamp. We'll do it for them, ladies and gentlemen. But it is impossible to allow them to pass any more laws on behalf of the New World Order. They are not working for we the people. They are working for them, the Luciferians. And we cannot allow them to continue with their script. We the people must intervene before the liquidation gets, beyond control, before the second wave. This summer is your last chance before the second wave hits. And then comes the mandated vaccines. As soon as they got the vaccines in their depots, they're coming to your door.
We're in a live exercise here to get this right. We're in a live exercise here to get this right. We're in a live exercise here.
The video guy, always on vacation. And of course, this was an inside job, but it's not just Fauci, ladies and gentlemen.
And we're getting better. We're getting better very quickly. This was artificially induced.
Trump has been on board with this plan since the beginning. That's what he was really elected to do, to kind of soften the blow, to make sure that everybody would trust him so that they would accept their new normal, their new world. And you may not understand that yet, but you'll understand that soon enough. And you can just tell them by their fruits. He let Hillary go. He locked up Julian Assange. They were rolling out the death towers everywhere. They were invading other countries for their oil. They didn't make as big of a deal about it, but we saw that quite clearly in Syria. A lot of things that people didn't care about, including the Kurdish genocide, and now they're coming to genocide you. I mean, how stupid do you have to be to continue to wear your MAGA hat and support this president that's trying to kill you? You think he's trying to help you? He's trying to kill you. He's just acting the buffoon. But truly, these people are out to kill you. All of these people are guilty of war crimes. And there's more. Look.
And what gives you a high degree of confidence that this originated from the Wuhan Institute of Virology?
I can't tell you that.
He can't tell you that because he's the fucking mastermind. Here.
Have you seen anything at this point that gives you a high degree of confidence that the Wuhan Institute of Virology was the origin of this virus?
Yes, I have.
So it's come from a lab. That's part one. They let it in. That's part two. They knew since November that there was a raging epidemic in Wuhan. In December and January, we're getting all sorts of reports of people having a flu like they've never had before. Everybody got hit with this in December and January. And at the last day of January, Trump is like, oh, we're going to stop the flights. By then, most people were already infected. And then they let people, basically live their normal lives for another 30 days to make sure that everybody else in the country for sure would be infected by then. And once and only then, after they were sure that everybody had been infected, then they locked things down. That's when the lockdown came. They deprived you of sunshine and fresh air so that you would become even more sick. They've been doing nothing but the opposite of what they should have been doing since the beginning, and this tells you what their intentions are. They're trying to kill you. They are trying to kill everyone out there because they want the world for themselves. That's how rich and greedy these billionaires are. They can afford to buy the whole planet and kill you. And they'll do it if you let them. Why is this happening in the state of Washington? Why is this happening in the state of New York? You're looking at it. Gates and Bloomberg. Their fingerprints are all over this as well. But you got Fauci on board. You've got this administration on board. You've got the Democrats on board. And you've got the exact same thing happening in every other NATO country. Every other New World Order country, it's exactly the same thing. They're all in it together like a bunch of Charlie Manson groupies. They've betrayed you. And not only have they betrayed you, they've tried to genocide the entire planet with a bioweapon, which is a war crime. We're not talking about a normal crime anymore. This isn't going to be for a normal court. This is a war crime, and these people need to be arrested immediately. All of these quote-unquote world leaders and these heads of major corporations that were involved, like Bill Gates, Bloomberg, Bezos, and others, need to be arrested immediately. And there needs to be a speedy trial. Now, if they resist arrest, it'll be a speedy execution. But their war crimes demand execution. You know, this isn't something that you get 5 years of prison for. This needs to be a public execution. It needs to be televised around the world. And, you know, the world needs to fight for its independence from this system that has enslaved them globally. Now, if you're in a country that doesn't celebrate an Independence Day, like Canada or Australia or the UK, you might want to think about that. You know, a lot of those people are like, hey, what day do we do it? Oh, what, you don't have an Independence Day? That means you're not free people. It's only people that have an Independence Day that are considered free people. And so don't be surprised that your imperial masters are trying to kill you, because to them, you're nothing but peasants. You'll never be anything more than peasants. You'll never have real rights because you're not a real person to them. You're a subject. You're a thing. And so they'll treat you every which way, ladies and gentlemen. And so if you live in a country that doesn't have an Independence Day, you need to work on that. And you might as well make July 4th your Independence Day. Ladies and gentlemen, it started in America. And, you know, we need to lead the way. And right now in the state of Washington, it's getting dire, to say the least. People are freaking out. The governor is announcing mandated testing, mandated vaccines. And if you don't comply, you can't leave your house. Everybody is basically under house arrest. They've suspended the Constitution. Why? Because they let this virus in. It's their virus. They're using it as a weapon because it is a bioweapon. They're using it against you, and that's a war crime. And these people must be removed immediately from their seats of authority, ladies and gentlemen, because they've abused their power and they've sentenced pretty much everyone to death. And so they must pay for their crimes, they must pay for their treason, and they must pay for what they've done to our world. And there's no going back now. There's no putting this virus back in the bottle, if you will. And you don't want to see what comes next. I think everybody should have seen enough by now to know that this is serious like never before. You thought, you know, the fact that there was a virus and they were locking you down was the limits of this crisis. That's just where it began. Because now they've turned everyone into the enemy of the state. If they've released a weapon and attacked you with a bioweapon, that means they've declared war on you and you are now their enemy. That is what that translates into. You are the enemy of the state, and to prove it, they've released their bioweapon to kill you. They've already sentenced you to die. They're trying to genocide you, and you have but one recourse in this matter: to defend yourselves, to defend your lives, to defend your liberty, and to defend your country. And the only way this is going to change is if these people are tried for the war crimes that they've committed. Anything less,
and we're getting better. We're getting better.
Anything less is capitulation. Anything less is surrender. And as far as I know, that's not what we do in America. We do not surrender to the enemy. Now, again, if you're just joining us, the deep state has declared war on the American people. You are the enemy of the deep state. They are your enemy, ladies and gentlemen. They are trying to kill you. They are trying to genocide you with their virus. You have but one option here, and that is to survive. And the only way you're going to survive is if you stop them from continuing on with what they're doing. What's to stop them from releasing another virus, a more deadly strain and just say that it's mutated? What's to say that their vaccine won't kill you? In any case, whatever's happening right now is their fault. They've done this to you. They knew what they were doing. They knew what they were getting into. Don't feel bad for them. The problem now is that they've been busted. The evidence is overwhelming. And if you do the math, they've released a bioweapon, which is an act of war against you. And it's a war crime. In a war zone, you can't use a bioweapon. And the punishment is death. These people must be put to death for what they've done, ladies and gentlemen. And make no doubts about it, they're going to continue on trying to enslave you. Governor Enslave, not Enslave, Enslave, is sending the goon squads door to door to make sure that you will take the vaccine. They're not even going to give you a chance to opt out, ladies and gentlemen. You can't opt out of their eugenics program. And people are already on the edge. They're ready for a revolution. It's a powder keg waiting to explode, and we're going to light that bitch up on July 4th. We're going to take our liberty back. We're going to take our lives back. We're going to be in charge of our own destiny, ladies and gentlemen, and we're not going to let them choose how they get to snuff us out. We've had enough of their fluoride, their GMOs, their pesticides, their death towers. We've had enough of their eugenics programs, of their endless wars, of their Gladio B events, of their gun grabs and the like. You've seen enough. Haven't you? Haven't you had enough? What's it going to take for them to start ripping members of your family away from you? You're going to get a call, oh, they took so-and-so. And little by little, your numbers are going to go down. Your food supply is going to go down. You're going to get weaker and poorer. You're never going to have an opportunity like this again. You need to go in while you still have, strength and determination. But trust me, after the second wave comes in, you won't have strength and determination. This is the time to act. This summer is going to be our summer of independence. And when the Boogaloo begins on July 4th, nobody goes home. If you do go home, it's in shifts. You cannot let these people come back in and pretend like they're in charge so that they can pass even more Hitler-like laws under their states of emergency. They've suspended the U.S. Constitution. What they've done is gone far beyond their mandate. This is not what they were elected for, to become tyrants and to terrorize you. This was not part of the deal. This was not part of their campaign. This is not what they were elected for. And in fact, when you think about the elections, it's just this little group of people, that's either a Republican or a Democrat, and that's your only choice. Whatever happened to normal people, they're not on the television. Ladies and gentlemen, they've been excluded from the system. It's only cult members that are allowed in the door, and that's all you get to choose from. It's a fraudulent election. It's election despotism. These people are not duly elected. It's a fraud. It's fake government. And right now they're using, our system against us. They're using our republic against us as a weapon to enslave us, to imprison us, and to poison us. They've made their eugenics legal, and they've made sure that you can't prosecute them because they control, the Department of Justice. They control the courts. They control, the entire system, if you will, and you've been rendered a slave. What is the video guy doing? Ladies and gentlemen, it's a catastrophe in the studios right now. We're hacking the Matrix. We're live on the Screw Tube. Are you ready for an uprising? Are you ready to take this country back? You need to organize for July 4th. You need to get everybody ready to take this country back. You need to let them know what's happened. They released the virus in November. They let it in. It was rampaging in our country in December and January. And by the time they started locking everything down, everyone was infected. They gave you the wrong advice the whole entire time. They made sure you wouldn't have the proper supplies to protect yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. They wanted you to be infected so that they could inject you with their vaccines. And this is just the beginning of the story. And so they've released this bioweapon to kill you, ladies and gentlemen. That's a war crime. And they must face a war crime tribunal for this. And it must be administered by the people. And we would be more than happy to volunteer as the prosecution, the judge, and the jury. And we'll let the people execute that crime, for those crimes. And we can start fresh after that. All of your government officials are involved. They are all hereby deemed enemies of the Republic until the end of the revolution. Now, if they want to help out, they better get on board now, because the tidal wave is coming. And, hardly any of them will survive. We are many, they are few, and we'll remind them of that this 4th of July, ladies and gentlemen. Like and share, get this information out there. We want to remind you, that you're getting dosed with the, with the technology out there. Innovation is punishment in disguise. And, we've taken the EMF 390 to various locations to test out, what's going on. At your Best Buy, you can see this for yourselves. And the numbers are through the roof. So if you think your electronic devices are safe, you've got another thing coming, ladies and gentlemen. We toured the world with the EMF 390, checking out different locations. We'll have to bring back some of those videos, of the free world. But what is the video guy doing? Oh, my sheeple, I found you. Look at this. But you go near the death towers like here. Here's the EMF 390 in RF browser mode, and you can just see what you're getting blasted with. It's beyond belief, and none of it is safe. But these death towers are a symptom of the disease, ladies and gentlemen. And just taking them down isn't going to solve the problem. You've got to take out the evil from our society, bring back the Bible. That is the mandate. And, we need a Christian homeland. That's the objective. We expel the Luciferians and restore our Christian homeland for future generations. That's America. And we've had enough of these Luciferians, ladies and gentlemen. We've had enough of their eugenics programs. It is time to take matters into our own hands. Now you can see we're fox hunting with the EMF 390, and you can see, the wave pattern gets stronger and stronger. At least you could, way to go, video guy. Totally ruined it for us. But fox hunting with the EMF 390 is excellent. You're going to love it. Check it out on our website, stfnreport.com, or, it's pinned at the top of our Facebook page, STFN Reloaded, or you can find it in the video description on our ScrewTube channel. Appreciate everybody tuning in. And we'll see everybody on the 4th of July. Boogaloo 2020. Get your country back. Until the next time, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening